All right, so my name is Erin. I'm teaching a class tonight on how does stress affect your body, and I'm going to talk a lot about how it affects your hormones and your brain. So let's get started. Thank you so much for those of you that are joining me live. I love seeing you on here, and I appreciate everybody who watches the replay and signs up and registers for my classes. So thank you so much. So let's talk about stress in the body. 48% of people in the United States report having sleep issues that is caused by stress. And around 77% of employees experience physical side effects from stress. So I think work may have a huge impact on stress, just I think day-to-day things as well. So let's talk about a bunch of different things that how stress affects the body. So the hormonal cascade. So stress affects your sex hormones. So basically throughout the day, a little bit of cortisol is released into your body. And as it increases in the morning and then it decreases as the day goes by. So cortisol is increased as a response to stress. So too much cortisol is going to contribute to high blood pressure, mood changes, libido, weight gain, and irregular periods. So it really has this effect on our body. It also affects our immune system. So the body changes how it secretes hormones that help the immune system. So chronic immune activation, which is immune system overacts, and basically it starts to attack healthy cells instead of the threatening cells. So you're more vulnerable to illnesses and recover slowly from diseases and infections. And stress also helps bacteria grow, which makes those infections worse. It also affects our sleep. We are alerted, like our body's on high alert. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night, oh gosh, I forgot to do something, that's a panic, that's stress. So that makes it really hard for you to relax and rest. So your high adrenaline and cortisol levels make it difficult for you to calm your mind. High energy people who are always can't sit still, they a lot of times have a hard time calming their mind and getting to sleep at night because they have too many things going on just from stress. So it also changes your brain. So this is a big one. Stress over long periods of time changes your brain. It causes shrinkage to it. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. But another thing that it does is it also changes your gut. So your digestive system is very sensitive to stress. And it can damage that microbiome that helps your gut function when you're stressed. And a lot of people tend to carry stress in their gut as well. And they'll notice changes in their digestive system and how they react to certain things. So it also hurts heart health. So it puts pressure on that heart. It causes that heart to pump harder to distribute blood to basically so that you are prepared to deal with threats, and it can cause long-term damage over time. So that constant pressure on that's causing your heart to pump more is slowly over time going to make it worse and damage that heart. So it also can turn your hair white. They say a lot of it is genetics, which is true, but some of it is due to stress. So research does show that there is evidence that stress can cause hair whitening. And basically the body's fight or flight system negatively impacts the melanocyte stem cells, which live in our hair follicles, and that's what colors our hair. So when it negatively impacts that, it causes our hair to turn white and not be your natural color. All right, so let's talk about some mental side effects of stress. So there's adverse effect on mood. It's linked to depression and anxiety, restlessness, overwhelming feelings, lack of focus. This is the mental side of it. Your physical side effects, people will get headaches. They'll have tension. And I know I carry a lot of my tension in my shoulders. I get knots in my shoulders. That's from carrying that tension. People have chest pain, fatigue. They have a change in sex drive. They have upset stomach. We talked about that gut being affected, and trouble sleeping as well. So behavioral side effects of stress, there's a lot of drug and alcohol abuse used when people are stressed, or they smoke, tend to have angry outbursts, social withdrawal where they don't want to be around people, or they tend to overeat or undereat. So 5 ways stress can affect your brain. So I talked earlier, I said I was going to talk more about the brain. So it increases mental illness. So it plays a very big role in development of mental health and like disorders like depression and emotional disorders. And then it changes your brain structure. So researchers have observed that those suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder have brain abnormalities. So it changes that brain. Also, it is found that a single social stress event could kill new neurons in the brain's hippocampus. So it causes to lose brain cells, basically. And then it shrinks the brain. So those with chronic everyday stress may make them more vulnerable to brain shrinkage, which when faced with intense, this is when they're faced with intense traumatic stressors, it can cause shrinkage to the brain. And it also hurts your memory. So it has a negative impact on the ability to be able to recall information and remember things. So that's how it affects your brain. So here's some stress management tips. So avoiding sugars is important. Addressing emotional issues. So instead of pushing them off to the side, because they tend to just creep back up, actually address them. Spending time in nature. Nature is a great way to feel calm and relaxed. Doing gentle exercise like yoga, or restorative yoga, or doing something that is calming for you, maybe taking a walk in nature, doing things of self-care, things that are like maybe taking a bath, maybe going to get your nails done, like something simple that is self-care considered to you. And then finding an activity that clears your mind. And one thing that helps me is guided meditations, because I'm so focused on what they're saying that I forget about everything else. And then breathing. When you breathe, that brings oxygen up and allows your body to relax. It just naturally does that. So taking that breath and calming your body down. So a few of my favorite things for stress. So Cortistop is a supplement that Young Living has that it's amazing. It's labeled for women, but men could take it as well. I'm going to just talk a little bit about, if you don't have this supplement book from Jen O'Sullivan, it's the Supplements Desk reference book. It has every single supplement that Young Living has in it. And it tells you basically the ingredients, what the ingredients do. So it breaks everything down. So this is a great resource. I love using it because I take a lot of supplements. So I'm just going to read from here about Cortistop. So Cortistop, let's see. It contains powerful precursor hormones, pregnenolone and DHEA derived from wild yams, and it supports emotional fluctuations. So it helps improve your memory and your cognitive function, which we talked about. Stress can affect your memory and your brain. So it is when you're under stress, the body produces cortisol, which I talked about. And when cortisol is produced too frequently, it can have negative health consequences such as feeling fatigued, difficulty maintaining healthy weight, and difficulty maintaining optimal health of cardiovascular systems. So cortisol supports that glandular system for women, but also men as well. So for this supplement though, you do not take it, you'll take it every day for 8 weeks, daily for 8 weeks, and then you discontinue it for 2 to 4 weeks before you resume it again. So you take 2 capsules in the morning, and then if desired for extra benefits, you can take 2 capsules before going to bed at night. And it's really helpful with that cortisol issues that a lot of people have due to stress. So that's one of my favorites. Another thing that I like to do, obviously I use a lot of essential oils. I like to take a drop on my hand, and I just will do a tent scent where I will just put it over my nose and inhale and exhale. So I'm basically making myself have my own personal diffuser. So a few of my favorites are the Stress Away Acceptance, which sometimes when we are stressed with things, acceptance, I feel like is helpful because being able to accept things that we are out of our control, which is always hard for us to manage. I really like the Tranquil Roller, Lavender, Peace and Calming. And the Feelings Kit has been a big one for me. I really love all of the oils, and there's a protocol that you do. And each oil is like you do it in order. So if you would like information on that, let me know, and I can send you information on how to do that protocol. Journaling for me is a really good one too. Sometimes just getting your thoughts on paper and like getting them out instead of holding them in is helpful for me. And also maybe take a bath with Epsom salts and essential oils, or using like a bath bomb. So those are some of my favorite things to do for stress. Are there any questions about any of the information I talked about? I know there was a lot of information about stress, the brain, and a lot of things. So if you do have any questions, Veronica, good question. I don't think white hair can be reversed. I think that is something that once it turns white, like you can't get it back. But that's like, I'm going to look into that and I'll let you know, because I'm curious about that too. I'm like wondering if there's a possible way that like it could be reversed and it could go back if you can get more of that special thing that like causes it to turn gray. So that's a good question. The brain shrinkage, that's another good question. I'll look into that. I'm not sure if there's a way to, because when you're born, your brain obviously is growing as you're growing. And so I don't know if there's a way to get that back, but that's a good question. So I'll look into that as well. Let's see. So I think that's it. If you do have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. I will be resuming classes in April, and I'll be sending out that list of the class topics towards the end of March. But next week's my birthday, and then it's spring break. So that's why I had 2 classes, 2 weeks in a row. All right. Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.